hunch it ain't the real disease. The doctor's painting over it, ignoring what's beneath. It's in the soil of your gut, the sugar in the flow. You gotta fix the dirty root if you want the tree to grow. Don't fix the fruit, fix the root. Yeah, don't fix the fruit, fix the root.
Dude, you write some really good music.
Oh, wait.
That rotten apple on the branch.
I forgot I was on loop. Sorry about that.
Man, you write some awesome music. You got a skill there, buddy. That's awesome. I'm impressed.
Pharmacist Ben, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
You know, you're actually rubbing off on me.
How so? Fix the root, not the fruit?
Well, not just that, but I've been trying to maximize my days. I've just been working like a madman. You are just rubbing off.
It's crazy. I'm gonna laugh. Oh man, this is crazy. So anyway, let's rock and roll here. Who is that we were talking to about the primitive?
Her name's Sherry, but I have a question first, and
yes.
Because I want everybody to hear Sherry's story, so we're going to give them a few minutes to actually start loading into the different channels. But I have a side question for you.
Yes, sir.
I've been taking this longevity product recently called Collagen-fx.
Okay. Read the supplement facts.
You know, and I notice it's all. I'm going to share it here. It's all herbal stuff. It says Cape aloe and cascara and barberry root and ginger root and fennel seed and senna. I'm familiar with.
So what's your question?
What is the colon, and what is going on with this? To what's the difference?
How is the stuff helping your colon? Is that what you're asking?
Okay. What is the colon?
Okay.
What's different about the colon and the intestines?
Okay.
And why this?
What's the purpose of all that? Okay.
Why is this blend as opposed to what we typically think of when we think of digestive support?
Okay, so let's leave this right here. Okay. Leave the supplement facts right there. Okay. So first question: colon, intestine. The colon, technically speaking, is the large intestine versus the small intestine, but it's used kind of loosely. Some people will say the small colon instead of the intestine. So it's just kind of, there's nothing kind of dry. Technically speaking, the colon is the large intestine. You with me? Can you see me?
Yeah, no, I'm just messing around.
Okay, so the colon is the large intestine, technically speaking, if you really want to be technical about it. And then there's the small intestine. So that's the answer to your first two questions. Okay? This herbal blend is for folks who are constipated. This keeps things moving. It's herbs to keep things moving. It's not a nutritional supplement.
Okay, so now why this over a probiotic or something like
this? This has herbs in it that support or activate gut motility, the movement of the muscles in the intestine that propel everything through. Probiotics change the environment of the intestine to make it more conducive to an easy bowel movement. Probiotics are really not nutritional supplements either. They're living creatures. But things there's different ways, there's different mechanisms for forcing or improving the propulsion of food out of the intestine. Probiotics can do it. They have one mechanism. Magnesium and vitamin C have another mechanism. Thiamine has another mechanism. And senna and fennel seed and cascara sagrada, they have another mechanism. Barberry and ginger root and fennel and cayenne, those are good, but they're not strictly for the intestine. Cascara, senna, and also, cascara and senna, those are specifically used in pharmacy anyway for constipation, to treat constipation. You can buy those in drugstores, cascara and senna. And
okay, So now this one is Digest FX.
It's a completely different mechanism.
Okay, so now
that's not for constipation. The other one's for constipation.
Okay.
They call it colon FX. They should call it constipation FX. You wouldn't want to use it if you had diarrhea.
And this one's mechanism that we're looking at, it's got some enzymes and some probiotics. So that's
a whole different mechanism. The enzymes work on the stomach, right? And the probiotics work in the intestine, but they don't affect things mechanically the way Cascara and Senna do.
Okay. Yeah. So
Cascara and Senna stimulate the bowel. They stimulate. They're almost medicines. They're not medicines because they're herbs, but they have a medicinal effect. And this is what I was talking to earlier with Sherry, before the call. You can change the body medicinally, right?
Yes.
You can change the body medicinally in two ways: with herbal medicine or drug medicine. Herbal medicine is a milder form of drug medicine. Drug medicine is a concentrated herbal medicine. Are you with me? You look like you're confused.
No, I'm with you.
Okay. So you have two ways to change the body. One way is medicinally, medically. And then you have medical herbs and you have medical drugs. Medical drugs being a much more potent version of medical herbs. Those are two medical strategies. Herbs are still medical. Or I should say pharmacological. Do you understand this? And I have a lot of friends who are herbalists, so I'm not knocking herbs. They're still drugs. Vitamin C is not a drug. Why is vitamin C not a drug and an herb a drug? Do you want to know the answer to that?
Yes, please.
Okay. An herb has to be processed by your poison control center. Do you understand this? An herb that has a medicinal effect has to be processed by the poison control center. Oh, but it's an herb and they're beautiful and they're lovely and they're natural. It doesn't matter. They're treated by the body. If they're not treated as food, they're treated as something that's medicinal or toxic. And so you got to utilize your liver enzymes and your coenzyme Q10, your magnesium, all the things we always talk about. Right? Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay. Vitamin C, you don't have that. Vitamin C has biological pathways for handling it that don't involve the detoxification system. Vitamin C doesn't need to be detoxified. Vitamin E doesn't need to be detoxified. Vitamin K doesn't need to be detoxified. The mighty 90 essential nutrients don't need a detoxification system, a detoxification process. Cascara does. Senna does. Herbs do. Unless they're being utilized as food, and even then, there's still compounds in them that they're considered toxins. Yes, herbs have toxic substances. That's how they work. Oh no, but they're herbs and they're they're botanical and they're nature and they're lovely. They're still medicinal. That means they're toxic. Medicinal equals toxic, with the exception of nutrition, which isn't really medicinal. That's what medicine means. You guys, does that make sense? Medicine means toxic. Medicine means toxic by definition. Oh, but it's an herb. Doesn't matter. But it's herb. It's an herb.
Très intéressant. And by the way, Pharmacist Ben.
Yeah.
That is one fancy shirt. I don't know, yeah, you got some style going, man. So we are going to bring on our first guest, Sherry. Welcome to Daily. I mean, this isn't Daily with Doc. This is Pharmacist Ben's Bites. Welcome to Pharmacist Ben's Bites. Bring on your question.
Yes, Sherry, Primadone.
Well, first of all, Ben, I just want to say that I really appreciate what you just said.
About what? About herbs?
About herbs. Just that whole explanation, because I did not, you made it very clear. So thank you.
Which part?
All of it. The fact that just the whole detoxifying versus nutrition.
Yes, it's a distinction. It's a very important distinction.
It's a very important distinction.
Yes.
And I don't think I actually thought I had a better understanding until just now when you just made me realize no. So thank you.
Yes.
So the reason that I wanted to ask you this question is that my mom has been taking medicine really for quite some time, and we went to pick it up a couple days ago, and you can imagine my shock where we had been purchasing the same medicine for a year and a half. Now, I take the minerals, I take the supplements, and have been doing that. I think for people who, my mom is older and she's been in the traditional healthcare system. And so this is, that's a whole new concept to change everything because there's a lot of trust.
What's the definition of insanity?
I understand all of that. So
we'll tell everybody what the definition is, so people listening.
The definition of insanity is when you keep doing the same thing and expect a different outcome.
Correct. That's the definition of insanity.
But
that's what it is. And I know what you're saying about older people, because they've been hypnotized, and unless they're critical thinkers, unless they're really analyzing data, and we lost Sherry here.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. So yeah, unless they're used to critical thinking and they're educated and they're studying and they're professors and they're academics and all that, they just do it. They hear it 100,000 times a day how important the doctor is, and they've been raised to think how important the doctor is. And there's this kind of sense in the culture. Oh, he married a doctor. Oh, she's a doctor. Oh, he's going to doctor. He's going to be a doctor. Doctor. We have.
I guess he said doctor just one too many times. Oh, here he is. Okay.
How can a doctor ever do that? He's a doctor. Oh, he's a doctor. And he made him. Why does a doctor know? They don't know. Are there doctors that do research and really study? And yes, for sure. But not all of them. Some of them are just saying, here's the medicine. That's what the salesman told me. Go take the drug. They're people. Some doctors are studying and they're in their library and they're doing the research and they're doing the papers. For the most part, the people you're seeing for a doctor visit aren't like that. For the most part, there's some exceptions there for sure.
I just got my PhD in medicine. No, I'm joking.
Oh, okay,
I did
gotcha.
not.
Oh, okay,
No,
gotcha. Yes,
I'm teasing you.
Okay.
No,
but the point is just because you're a doctor doesn't necessarily confer on you wisdom of how everything works. It doesn't even confer on you intelligence. It just confers on you a certificate that you got for studying. Are there doctors that really, really take the biological system seriously and really dive into the pathways and dive into the different biological systems, the organ systems and the tissue system? Yeah, of course there are. But that doesn't mean all of them are. And so when you say, how could the doctor do something like this? It happens all the time. So
Sure.
tell your example.
So the example is that getting prescriptions for a year and a half, and
what were the yeah.
So Primidone,
yeah,
and Eliquis.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
And the pharmacist first time came to the window and said, "Is the doctor aware that you're taking these two? Because Eliquis, the Primidone interacts with the Eliquis," and that was shocking.
It's not quite like that.
Okay.
It's almost. Let me explain. Primidone is an anticonvulsant. Anticonvulsant drugs are notorious for stimulating liver enzymes. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you're on the call. Liver enzymes are basically detoxification enzymes. They call them liver enzymes. So Primidone is notorious. Anticonvulsants in general are notorious for affecting the liver and liver enzymes. In fact, they used to, when you were on Tegretol, which is like and Dilantin, they used to have your liver tested periodically to make sure that everything's okay. They may even have, did they tell her I don't know about Primidone. I assume it might even be the same with Primidone. They want to check her liver because these are very hard on the liver. Primidone and anticonvulsants in general upregulate liver enzymes, detoxification enzymes. Eliquis is a blood thinner, and blood thinners are very serious. She's on some very serious medication. The problem with the pharmacist caught is not so much that the Eliquis and the Primidone interact as much as it's the Primidone increases the detoxification rate of drugs by raising the enzymes. And that means the Eliquis may not work as well. You follow? That means
Yes.
the Eliquis so she may have a high risk of blood clots. However, I assume they're checking to see how well the Eliquis is working, correct? Periodically, they check to see how fast her blood's clotting, how thin her blood is. Aren't they checking her blood periodically? They should be. I would think they would.
You mean like through a blood test?
Yeah, they want to see
Yes.
how well the Eliquis is working. So they're covering for that. In other words, it's not like Eliquis and primidone interact. It's like primidone raises the rate or speeds up the rate of detoxification of the Eliquis. It makes the Eliquis less effective.
Right.
Mhm.
And the whole reason why this was shocking is we just had a situation where she lost the vision in her left eye.
She had a clot.
They said, I think they said calcification, that plaque, calcified plaque that went up through the
Did they say calcified plaque because they knew it was calcified plaque, or did they say calcified plaque because they thought it was?
Well, the eye
plaque?
doctor took a photo and said that's what it was.
He actually visualized calcified.
Yes.
Plaque. Okay, I got it. So that's not a clot, but it's along the same lines. It could have something to do with the blood not moving as well as it should. I don't know the answer to that. But the point is that the primidone will make the body or increase the rate of detoxification of the Eliquis. That means the Eliquis won't work as well. But they're covering for that, I assume, by checking the blood. So they're just, right? So it's
Right.
not like, you understand? So that may be why they felt comfortable prescribing the two together, because they're checking the blood.
Right.
Okay? Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay, good.
So, okay.
Okay. And interactions happen all the time. There's no way to get around it. That's why you don't want to be on polypharmacy. We know of certain interactions, but we don't know of all interactions. There's all kinds of ways things can interact, and we don't know. Look, taking drugs, despite the fact that it seems like they're just taking drugs, it's like, like Skittles or something. These are majorly powerful chemical interventions. They're not to be trifled with. That's why I do nutrition. Unless you need a drug so badly that there's no other alternative, it really is playing with fire. Sometimes you do need them so badly that there's no other alternative. I understand that. But there should be a degree of caution that's built into the drug-taking decision that we unfortunately don't have, because we're conditioned to believe it's just, just take this drug, take that drug, take 5. When you take, how many people are on 5 different drugs? It's crazy. You have no idea how those 5 things are going to interact with each other. Nobody does.
Sherry, is your mom looking to maybe wean herself off of those drugs and use some nutrition?
Well, I mean, no, I don't think so. But she's on 12 different drugs. If I'm understanding.
It's hypnosis. She's been hypnotized. And your mom, God love her, I don't mean to sound rude or mean. How could you possibly think taking 12 powerful different poisons in your body is somehow good for you? And I'm not trying to knock on anybody, insult anybody, but just want logically, how can taking 12 completely different poisons, remember they're poisons, not metaphorically, not poetically, not rhetorically, not semantically, literally, because they got to be depoisoned, detoxified. 12 different ones. 12 different ones. How? Just think logically. Forget your doctor, forget your patient, just be a normal person. How can taking 12 different poisons be in your health interest? I mean, logically. Now, did the same doctor put her on the 12 poisons? Or is it different doctors?
It's different doctors.
Do they all know what poison she's on? Does every doctor know what poison the other doctor gave her? They should. I hope they do.
Yeah. One is like from a heart doctor. Most of them, I think, are from the primary care. So
I hope
yeah,
they should know. They should know. I would think.
Right.
I hope they know. Yeah, I hope they know. But it really logically, it just makes no sense. Now, clearly, your mom has some health issues for her to be on 12 different poisons. So, do you in your? I'm not trying to pick on you. I just want to know is because you're a lay person, you're an average person, you're on the call. So I'm going to ask you: do you believe? And this is not a quiz. I just want to know what you really think. Do you believe those 12 different poisons are making her, or healing her, or making her body better than it was before she took the poison? Somehow improving her biological operations, biochemistry.
I wouldn't say that
I'm not quizzing you. I want to know what you think. This is not a yes or a right or wrong. I just want to know, curious to know what you're thinking.
I wouldn't say that they're biologically improving her. I would say a couple of them are probably helping with symptoms.
Okay. Keeping her in the game too. Keeping her alive, keeping her going.
Right,
I'm
right.
assuming your mom's 75, 80 years old, right? Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, 2 questions. Question number 1, does your mom want to be off the drugs? That's question number 1. And number 2, does your mom want to do what it takes to get off the drugs? Because you can want to be off the drugs, but you might not want to do what it takes. And that's all. If she wants to be off the drugs and wants to do what it takes, she can be off them. If not, that's fine. God love her. That's where she can do whatever she wants to do. This is not a message for people who are happy with their doctors or drugs or their medical protocols. This is not a message for them. By the way, for longevity people, we're not here to tell people not to get off their drugs. We're not here to tell people that. We're here to help people who want to get off their drugs. You see the difference? We're not here to tell you, hey, you dummy, what are you on all those poisons for? What's your problem? Get off those drugs. Here, take the healthy stuff. No. We're here to help people say, I don't want to be on the drugs. What else can I do? And there's plenty of people like that. If somebody's happy with their doctor and their medicine and they're fine, have at it. Jesus loves everybody. The sun shines on everybody. Nobody's wrong here. But if you want to make it, if you want to really, really get healthy and you want to add years to your life and you want to do it in a clean way that doesn't burden the body, we got the answers for it. We can help you. If you're happy, have at it. If your mom's happy, have at it. Go for it. That's nothing wrong with that. We all get to do what we want to do. I wouldn't do it, but I don't ever want to tell anybody not to do what they're doing. But if they don't want to, if they want to change, we're here for you.
All we can do is love them, right?
And Jesus loves everybody. We're not better or more right than anybody. I think it's crazy. That's my opinion. Other people think it's crazy. That's their opinion. Other people think it's fine. Your doctor thinks it's fine to be on 12 different drugs. Your mom thinks it's fine. Fine. I don't want to be in a position of having to persuade or convince or tell anybody what to do if they don't want to do it. So your mom, God love her. If she wants to get off of them, we can help her.
Well, I think it's good to I think the opening really helped when you were talking about herbs and detoxifying and medication. That really, and versus nutrition.
Yeah, let me say it again, because I don't know if I've said it so many times. Sometimes I don't like repeating myself, but it sounds like either are you new? Have you been on the calls before?
This is my very first time.
Beautiful. I love it. Welcome, first of all. And second of all, let me say something. I say it all the time, and sometimes I don't like saying things because people get sick of hearing it, but this is important. When you take a prescription drug, it goes into your system, and first of all, you have to take a higher dose than you need. Why do you have to take a higher dose than you need? So if the doctor gives you 10 milligrams, it's only because you really need 5 milligrams. So why do they give you 10 if you only need 5? Because the liver is going to clean it out. The liver is going to see that drug, and it's going to say, get these Satan behind me, and it's going to detoxify it. And now you're not going to have the drug, so they have to give you a higher dose to make up for what's called first pass effect. The first pass effect is the liver cleaning out the drug, and then you won't have the drug. So the doctors and the drug companies, they give you a higher dose to make up for that. Does that make sense? You have to nod.
Yes.
Okay, good. The second element, and this is very important, when you take a prescription drug and it gets detoxified, it requires magnesium to detoxify. It requires copper to detoxify. It requires vitamin C to detoxify. It requires molybdenum to detoxify. It requires manganese to detoxify. It requires all these nutrients to detoxify. If you're like most people, you're already deficient in vitamin C. You're already deficient in manganese. You're already deficient in copper. You're already deficient in all these nutrients. Now you're even more deficient because your body has to clean out the drugs. And now you're going to run into side effects from being nutrient deficient. And that's not even going to show up as a side effect. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we have this idea, just take a drug, blah, blah, blah. No, the body has to do all kinds of work and it costs the body all kinds of nutrients for your mother and most people are already in short supply to detoxify that drug. The body doesn't say, oh, you're a drug, that's fine. I'll use you. The body wants that thing out. It considers that to be a mortal enemy. And we, in our wisdom, as human beings, that is, we know better than the body, of course, because we're humans and the body's stupid. And, you stupid body, you have the nerve to have high blood pressure. Never mind, we're poisoning our blood every day with our food. Oh, I'll show you. And we give it a beta blocker that goes and forces the vessel open, basically. Or even worse, shuts down the heart. How do you think a heart drug works? Your mom's on heart drugs. How do you think a heart drug works? Is it kind and gentle? Oh, we just calm down the heart. Nice heart. No, it's literally poisoning the heart. Literally, not poetically. Literally, take that to your doctor. Tell him I said that. It's literally poisoning the heart. And so you say, oh, how? What's the heart? Well, the heart's working too hard. So we poison it a little bit so it doesn't work as hard. Now, I'm a pharmacist. Believe me, I've heard this for 45 years. It never made sense to me. It just doesn't compute somehow, but it's accepted. That's how we do it. What are you going to do? Not everybody buys into it. Most people do. We're here for the people who don't.
Well, I really appreciate everything that you've explained.
Thank you. And then we're here.
You've done a stellar job.
I appreciate that. You're
Sherry,
a wise woman.
Sherry, I think we're rubbing off on you. That's pretty quick.
How did you hear about us? How did you hear?
Actually,
I didn't mean to get to.
No. Back in December of 24, I'd met Keely, and I could tell that she was a phenomenal researcher. And my husband had 2 stem cell transplants. And I knew that he was getting sick again and could not handle the 3rd. And so I asked her, because I knew what she had done for her father, and I'd asked her if she knew of any non-traditional healthcare ways that might help him. And so she said, let me look into that. And that was in December. And in March, she said, I think I've got your answer. She actually said, I've got your answer. And she then said, I want you to listen to this video about Dr. Wallach. And she started feeding me information. Now know that I've fought type 1 diabetes and I've been sick all of my life.
I'm sorry.
And was put on all kinds of drugs at a young age.
That's
and have fought to stay alive. And so she convinced me to try it, and I started taking supplements, the nutrients, as you call it.
Yeah.
In May. And within 2 days, I could close my hand completely. And I had been taking pain pills. And then I started feeling like I was floating because I'd never felt so good.
That's amazing.
And so now I still am on insulin. But anyway, I started taking it myself and was surprised and I went off of 8 medications.
You added years to your life. You added, Sherry,
I'm the healthiest I've ever been. And
that's
so
awesome.
I have a very fond place in my heart for Keely because she saved my life.
She did.
She did. And I give Holy Spirit credit as well.
Praise God.
Faith.
Praise God. That's absolutely right. Through Keely. Keely, how good does that make you feel?
Like $1 million bucks.
There's no words, right? There's no words.
I've been on this journey with her for almost 2 years now, and it's nothing short of a miracle.
And I'll have you know, just as a little FYI,
Yeah.
I accidentally amputated my fingertips by way of a garage door, the panels,
Oh my gosh.
slicing off well, they crushed 2 of my fingers and then
Oh my
took off
gosh.
2,
Oh
but
my God.
they've grown back, and
Let-
I'm 57. And so if
Crazy.
you think about fighting type 1 diabetes, where they talk about amputating, that's what I was heard as a
Yeah.
child
Oh my
all
God.
the time.
Oh my God.
You're
Oh
going to
my
lose your
God.
eyesight. You're going to lose your
Oh
legs.
my
You're going to blah, blah, blah.
God. Oh my God. Oh my
And
God.
so when that happened, it was horrific. But I'm very thankful to say that by the grace of God, and I've been taking the nutrients and I added collagen, and it's you know, I've come a long way. That happened, I want to say, the 2nd or 3rd week of August.
It's unbelievable. That's what we do, Sherry. We do this all the time. Keely, everybody listening to this call, Keely, doesn't that makes you feel? You can't even put words to how good that makes you feel when you help your fellow man or fellow woman, fellow brother or fellow sister with something like this. It's so easy. This is the way God intended it. Remember, not to go to the doctor and get organs removed and your heart poisoned and your liver detoxifying system revved up. It's craziness. It's utter craziness. So thank you,
You know,
Keely. God bless
the
you.
one thing she didn't tell you though is her pancreas actually started to turn back on when she started the protocol initially. It would go on and off, on and off. And how much of the insulin did you end up coming off of, Sherry? Do you remember?
Well, I have a theory, but it's gonna sound really crazy. I think at times, I want to say I probably came off of maybe like 10%, because I went right into I'm on a pump, and it showed that I was in range like between 96 to 100% of the time, where it used to only be in the high 70s and maybe low 80s. I'm back up to the high 90s again. But I came down on my insulin level just by a few units. But just the other day, I had a situation happen. I kind of think that Bluetooth, I think they mess with the system.
Yeah, I won't be surprised. I know what you're saying.
Because I actually upgraded my phone, and then I found that my sensor and my pump, they were fighting each other, and I kept having these horrific insulin reactions. And when I then upgraded my Dexcom sensor, it totally took out.
Wow.
So I have thought off and on that Bluetooth can actually, I think sometimes they manipulate things. Now, that is not, to go back to your question, Keely, because you said my pancreas. I think that there's a part of this that is spiritual as well.
Absolutely.
And I've been on a journey where I had some bad believing, like wrong believing. And so I've been doing a lot of the power of right believing and not being hard on myself. Because, when you're a kid and you're diagnosed with a disease like this, and I can remember saying a classmate in my 3rd grade class, we were supposed to do get well cards, and I was stealing sugar and stealing milk because I was starving to death. I weighed 40 pounds.
Wow.
And I was fighting for my life. You could count every rib. And I remember saying, oh God, please don't ever let me have that, because I didn't tell anybody how sick I was, but I was literally stealing sugar out of the sugar jar because I was starving to death and drinking all the time. And so when I became a diabetic, diagnosed 2 weeks later, unbeknownst to me, it already happened, I believed a lie that God wanted
it's interesting
me.
it's interesting you say that, because the pancreas represents personal power, and it represents willpower. The hidden blockages are about hidden okay, so you know what I'm saying. I can see you're feeling it. It has to do with sweetness. It has to do with processing life's goodness and sweetness, an inability to process sweetness, to deal with the sweetness and the beauty of life from burdens, a lack of feeling strong in your life, personal power. I'm not saying you personally. I'm saying that's what the pancreas symbolizes.
I was scared. I was so scared as a child.
Yeah. And that's what the medical model is known for, not necessarily intentionally. I don't think they do it intentionally, but they scare people. You take this drug or you're going to die. Take this drug or you're going to have a heart attack. Take this drug or you're going to need, your heart isn't going to get oxygen. That's how they do it. You know, I want you on this drug or else. And that's just the way it goes. Look, doctors, let me just say this real quick. Doctors are good people. I have a lot of friends who are doctors. They're not bad people. This is not about them being bad. This is about the model, the medical model, the paradigm. We're suffering from an anti-human paradigm. And we see it everywhere, really, but especially in medicine and health. That's why they put metal in your body, electrical things in your body. Instead of working on why your heart is beating out of control, they stick some kind of mechanical contraption, electrical contraption. Instead of figuring out why your arteries are accumulating waste and fat and blockages, they spread it out with a device, a stent. And this is how we look at the body. And it comes from the fact that our ideas of medicine are based in Enlightenment understandings from the 1500s and the 1400s, and we really haven't progressed. And that's why, even though the body, we know today the body's a system, and the blood is connected to the various organs, and the digestive system is connected to the blood, and the connective tissue is connected to the muscle tissue, and everything's all linked together. We still, if we have a heart problem, we go to a heart doctor. Skin problem, we go to a skin doctor. Nose problem, we go to a nose doctor. Brain problem, we go to a brain doctor. Bone problem, we go to a bone doctor. Female problem, OBGYN doctor. We go to these specialists when the body is an entire system. And that's why we don't see that when you give a drug for the heart, it's going to affect the liver. Or when you give a drug for the intestine, it's going to affect the heart. Or when you give a drug for the brain, it's going to affect the liver. It's all linked. But because we did this reductionistic isolation of every little part and component from the Enlightenment, from the high Middle Ages, the 1500s, we haven't progressed. That's when modern medicine was born. We still haven't come to grips with the fact that the body's a system. A system means it's a bunch of pieces all linked together coherently, where you can't do something to one side of it without affecting the other side. And while here in the room, in this Zoom call, we all know that, and even your doctor knows it. The paradigm hasn't caught up to it because it's the institution of medicine. Institutions are always going to be against the individual, because an institution, the word institution comes from static. An institution doesn't change. An institution doesn't die. An institution doesn't get cancer. An institution doesn't have the same kind of criteria as a human being does. So what's good for the institution is not going to be what's good for the human being. They're pitted against each other. And the institution of medicine is the institution of medicine. It's there to make itself stronger, bigger, better, not for the human beings. If it helps human beings, that's great. But the institution of medicine, like all institutions, is there for itself. The institution of law, the institution of government, all institutions are designed to perpetuate themselves.
Right, as we're seeing.
As we're seeing. They don't die. They don't want to die. They'll do anything not to die. But the individual suffers. It's always going to be the individual against the institution. We're individuals. Your children are individuals. Your mother's an individual. We care about individuals. Longevity is not an institution. We care about individuals. So if you're not getting your needs met by the institution, that's perfectly understandable, because it's not there to meet your needs. We're here for that.
Okay,
well,
Sherry.
I just want to say thank you.
God bless you.
I really
thank
appreciate
you for sharing that. And God bless you, Keely, for your work you're doing. That's really awesome. Thank you.
Sherry, and so you know your duty now. You got to go help some more people.
Pay it forward.
That is your responsibility. Help as many people as possible.
Go ahead. Let's get some more questions in here.
All right, Sherry.
Thank
you, and hope to see you a lot more often.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
And I'm so sorry that we rubbed off on Sherry, because she was cracking jokes on you.
She was?
She was zinging you. Yeah, she was getting you good. We got
So let's talk about a real medical puzzle. It's a heart condition that is...
This has been so sorry. We got quite a number of questions that have come in.
Let's
and
do it.
I'm gonna start with YouTube and Base Southwest. He loves Base Southwest. Listens to you on Coast to Coast all the time, and they're big followers of you. Now, Base Southwest, I'm thinking is a man. However, he's got hypothyroidism, so maybe not. I have a question about hypothyroidism. I have hypothyroidism, not Hashimoto's. What are your thoughts on synthetic drugs or bioidentical drugs? Wonder if we've heard something like this before.
Well, okay, so there's a bunch of things there. This is a guy, you said?
I'm not. I have no
Hypothyroidism mostly affects women, 90%, but 10% of hypothyroid patients are going to be men. So it could be a guy, okay? But mostly it's a female issue. That tells you whenever you have a condition, and by the way, most chronic degenerative disease is female, Parkinson's disease is female, Alzheimer's disease is female, depression is female. These are all diseases, almost all degenerative chronic illness affects women more than men.
It's for his wife.
What's that? It's for his wife. Okay, good. Okay.
It's for Base Southwest is a man because he's got a base in his picture, but the question is about his wife.
Okay, the missing link in thyroid health, in addressing thyroid health, is the root, not the fruit. The soil, not the branches. The missing link is the digestive system and the metabolic system second. Where have you heard that? Where have you heard that? The
From
triangle
you?
No, it's the triangle of disease.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, and Sherry, listen, if this is your first call, you should know. I'm saying Sherry because she's never been on, hasn't been on a call before. But everybody who's listening, who hasn't been on a call, those of you who've been on the call, we talk about it all the time. But if you haven't, there's 3 points that break down in the body that lead to all other health challenges. And if you don't address these 3 points, you can't do anything about your other health challenges. But if you do address these 3 points, the other health challenges will take care of themselves. So the 3 points, first of all, are the digestive system, the metabolic system, and what's called the HPA thyroid axis. I call it the adrenal thyroid axis or the adrenal thyroid complex. Those are the 3 points. I'll explain what those are in a second. However, the main thing I want to get across is the tip of the triangle, the top of the triangle, is the thyroid. So you got the digestive system, the metabolic system, blood sugar system, and the adrenal thyroid complex. And the top of the triangle is the adrenal thyroid complex. And from there, you have every other disease, every other chronic disease. I don't care, Alzheimer's, autoimmunity, movement disorders, arthritis, whatever, name it. It all comes after this triangle. You don't have a chronic disease without this triangle underneath it. So that means 2 things. Number one, if you try to treat your heart disease or your cancer, your Alzheimer's, or whatever it is, without addressing the triangle, it ain't going to work. And that alone is one of the most important reasons for the failure of modern medicine to deal with chronic degenerative disease. And make no mistake about it, hopefully nobody is under the illusion that that's inaccurate. The modern medical model has presided over the most obese, the most cancer-ridden, the most diabetes-ridden, the most heart disease-filled, the sickest culture in the history of mankind. The modern medical model has presided over that. Where the modern medical model has excelled, of course, is in surgery, emergencies, repairing things, stitching things back on, what we call in the business heroic medicine versus ambulatory medicine. Ambulatory medicine is when you walk. To ambulate is to walk. So you walk into the clinic, walk out of the clinic, failure. But the heroic side, they're amazing. So give credit where credit is due. However, for chronic degenerative disease, there's nothing that they just don't have the tools because the triangle, which underlies everything, is lifestyle, mostly food. There's no drugs for the digestive system. You can't take a drug to make your digestive system better. You may be able to hide the symptoms, but you can't take a drug to make it healthy. What you can do is you can change the way you eat to make it healthy. You can start taking nutritional supplements to make it healthy. You can change the amount you eat to make it healthy. There's no doctor that can do that for you. That's us. And really it comes down to the fact that all disease is about the cell, and the cell just needs food, oxygen, and a clean place to do its work. That's it. If you're sick, there are cells somewhere that aren't getting fed, that aren't getting breathed, oxygenated, or they're not being detoxified. And there's no drugs that can address that. The second point is the metabolic system. And again, there's no drugs that can address that. They can force your pancreas to make insulin, or they can give you insulin, but they can't make your body work better. And then the third point is the adrenal thyroid complex. So what does that show us? The thyroid, which regulates everything above it, all their systems, is responsive to the adrenals, the metabolic system, and the digestive system. It's the third point on the triangle of disease. Does that make sense? I'm looking at you, AJ.
Yes,
okay.
I'm with you.
Right, now, okay, good. This is why every year in the top 5 best-selling drugs, you'll find levothyroxine, Synthroid, every year. Hypothyroidism is an epidemic. It's an epidemic because we have an epidemic of metabolic issues and an epidemic of digestive issues. You cannot work on the thyroid without working on the metabolic system, or first of all, the adrenal glands, which themselves are dependent on the metabolic system and the digestive system. So this triangle of disease that we talk about is really the plane of disease, the digestive system and the metabolic system. The adrenals will take care of themselves. There's things you could do. I shouldn't say exactly. There's things you want to do, calm the body down, take certain nutrients, but really the basic 2 points are the digestive system, the blood sugar system. This is for the gentleman who called. So the first thing I do is I work on digestive health. Now, interestingly, the digestive system, when it starts to break down, will lead to blood sugar problems. Blood sugar problems, when they start to become dysfunctional, will change adrenal health, and that's where you really have your triangle from. But the thyroid also regulates the digestive system and regulates the metabolic system. So once you're hypothyroid, now you're going to have more digestive problems and more metabolic problems, leading to more adrenal problems, leading to more thyroid problems, leading to more digestive problems, leading to more metabolic problems, and on you go. You're on this vicious downward spiral, and nobody's stopping the problem. Because when you take your thyroid medication, have you fixed your thyroid? No. They're just giving you thyroid medication. They're giving you a hormone. And that gets to the second question the gentleman asked about bioidentical hormones. When Mahatma Gandhi was in the United States, he was leaving on a train. I've told this story.
No, I've not heard this one.
So Mahatma Gandhi, he did a tour of the United States, and he was leaving the United States, and he was on a train. As he was going by the train, they yelled at him. The reporters were yelling and questions at him. And one reporter said, "Gandhi, what do you think of Western civilization?" And Gandhi says, "It would be a good idea." Right? It would be a good idea. And that's what I think of when I hear bioidentical hormones. It would be a good idea. There's no such thing as bioidentical hormones. Don't exist. Hormones, by their very nature, work by being responsive to the environment, either the outside environment or the inside environment. So your sugar goes up, your hormones change. Your sugar goes down, your hormones change. You get scared of a lion or a credit card bill or whatever it is that scares you, your hormones change. You're relaxed, your hormones change. You have a cold, your hormones change. You're healthy, you got hormones change. You exercise, your hormones change, on and on and on. When you take a hormone, that don't happen. You're just giving your body the hormone. You deprive the body of this responsiveness that makes it healthy. Health is responsiveness. That's almost the definition of health, is responsiveness. Like, you adjust. The ability to adjust to our environment, they call it allostasis. Some people call it homeostasis. A little different, but basically that's the idea. The ability to adjust as needed is critical for healthy functioning. But if you take thyroid hormone or estrogen hormone or testosterone hormone, you don't get that. You just get a bunch of hormone, way more than your body needs, by the way, because of that first pass effect. You get a bunch of hormone, it spikes, and then it drops. That's exactly what you don't want a hormone to do. Exactly the opposite. So there's no such thing as bioidentical hormones. It's marketing. And make no mistake about it, there's a very tight relationship, intimate relationship between marketing and medicine. And so you've got to be very, very careful about that. There's no such thing from a chemistry perspective, from a marketing perspective, a product perspective there is, but from a chemistry perspective, there's no such thing as bioidentical hormones. It's an oxymoron because hormones by their very nature go up and down. You can't be identical. There's no way. So thyroid hormone, to answer your question, it doesn't help your thyroid. It just replaces supposedly the thyroid hormone, but you can't really replace it because the thyroid hormone goes up and down, and there's no such thing as bioidentical hormones.
Can you do me a favor? Can you tell Base Southwest about his wife? Tell him his wife's tell him exactly her, tell him about her. Describe her.
Well, I got it here. She's hypothyroid, and what else?
She's hypo. That's all we know. She's
okay,
hypothyroid.
so she's hypothyroid. So she's got to be constipated because the thyroid regulates the digestive system. She's got to be overweight or even obese because the thyroid regulates metabolism. She's got to have dry skin because the thyroid regulates skin moisturization. She's got to have hair issues because the thyroid keeps your hair healthy. Hypothyroidism is usually associated with elevated estrogen, which is a stress hormone. So she probably has some female health issues or had female health issues, depending on how old she is. It's the whole thing, everything. She might even.
Base Southwest, type in the chat if Pharmacist Ben used his psychic powers to identify your wife. We have some other questions in here. And by the way, we got a number of people who said that your story was fantastic, Sherry. We have Antoinette. You met Antoinette. She's got 2 twin daughters. She is asking about being a woman of a certain age and past the pause or in the pause, and hair coming in snow white. Used to use henna, but it's stopped now and it's coming in white. All of my family has had this white hair. She has HTN, what's that? Heart hypertension. On amlodipine, losartan, just stopped her estrogen patch 2 weeks ago, having hot flashes.
All right, so there's a lot there. What was the first thing you said? The very first thing? Oh,
menopausal, hair coming in snow white.
I didn't write everything down, so I'm just trying to go by memory. But basically, it's a syndrome. She has an entire syndrome here. Syndrome is when you have a bunch of symptoms from one cause. Estrogen is regulated, or estrogen has been processed, not regulated. It's processed in the intestine. When your estrogen is not processed correctly, it recirculates through the body. Estrogen has to be processed and eliminated. The liver, the gallbladder, the intestine, bacteria in the intestine, all of these systems are important for the processing and eliminating of estrogen, which is the most powerful of all the hormones. Estrogen is the most powerful of all the steroid hormones. And this is why I said earlier, it's women who suffer from hypothyroidism and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and depression and all chronic degenerative diseases and autoimmune diseases. Women suffer from these because these diseases are inflammatory, and estrogen is highly inflammatory. If estrogen is not being processed correctly, you're off to the disease races. So tell me some of the last things she said, the last few things, not after the hypertension.
On losartan.
Okay, she's got heart problems, put it that way. These are all signs of heart issues and blood pressure issues. Estrogen, when it's not processed correctly, acts like a stress hormone. Additionally, like cortisol, it revs everything up. It makes things grow. It makes it causes problems with the circulatory system. It leads to inflammatory issues, particularly in the circulatory system. And this is where hypertension comes from. So this is a woman who's dealing with estrogen issues first, digestive issues first, then estrogen issues, and then everything else. Now, I didn't say the metabolic system, which is the second point in the triangle disease. I skipped over it, but more than likely that's involved too. She didn't mention that. So estrogen is after menopause is made in the adrenal glands, right?
Mm-hmm.
The intestine is where estrogen is processed. The intestine and the gallbladder play a major role in blood sugar metabolism. So guess what you're back at? The triangle of disease. It all boils down to the triangle. So improve estrogen processing by using probiotics, fiber, improving bowel functioning. If she has her gallbladder, improve gallbladder health with the ultimate enzymes. Even if she doesn't have a gallbladder, use the ultimate enzymes. use Dr. Arias's liver cleanse. If you suspect SIBO, which is very common, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, when there are estrogenic issues, use the I-26. Focus on digestive health. You want to do more? Go to metabolism. Go to blood sugar. Focus on blood sugar health. Sweeties, ultimate niacin, ultimate selenium, ultimate sulfur. By the way, ultimate selenium helps with estrogen metabolism. So for all estrogenic issues, you want to be on the ultimate selenium, but also for blood sugar issues, the ultimate selenium. Ultimate microbiome, fiber. There's a lot of things you can do for the blood sugar system. Then if you want to do something, if you actually want to do something for the adrenal glands, it doesn't hurt to do things for the adrenal glands. Beyond Tangy Tangerine, ionic minerals, zinc FX, CFX. These are all helpful for the adrenal glands. Vitamin B12, which is in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, for the adrenal glands. De-stress for the adrenal glands. Vitamin B5, probably the most underappreciated of all the vitamins is vitamin B5, pantothenic acid, for the adrenal glands and for all fat metabolism. I use high doses of pantothenic acid for people who have acne. So, and that's another one for the adrenal glands. That's it. Point 1, point 2, point 3, the body will take care of the thyroid and you'll deal, and the heart issues, I don't know how bad the heart issues are if you want to work on the heart issues, but and I have to go after this, but let me just say this real quick.
Oh.
I have to go, it's an hour. Hang on, check this out. When the blood is sticky, hypercoagulable, inflamed, yes, the blood inflames. When the blood is inflamed, hypercoagulable, sticky, it will not move as effectively. When it doesn't move as effectively, the organs are not going to get oxygen. The organs aren't going to get nutrition. And the organs are not going to be detoxified. The blood helps detoxify and the lymph helps detoxify. The brain is constantly reading the body. It's constantly reading all of the organs. It's looking for organs that aren't getting fed or oxygenated, or organs that need more blood. So under conditions of sticky, coagulable, inflamed blood that's not circulating appropriately, guess what the brain will do? Turn up the pressure. That's called essential hypertension. Instead of us figuring out why the blood is not moving correctly, what do? Because we're geniuses, we're humans, we know better than the body, than the stupid body. We take drugs that either shut the heart down to lower the pressure, genius, or we take drugs that force open the blood vessels in order to reduce the pressure. There's other drugs too that work at the level of the kidneys. Some of the drugs work at the level of fluid retention or fluid excretion of minerals. There's various drugs. The point is we poison the body into submission when all the body's trying to do is get a little more oxygen and get a little more nutrition and get a little detoxified. It's just another example of how in our infinite wisdom as human beings, we override the body's adaptive wisdom. What we call disease is really the body coping, trying to deal. And what's it trying to deal with? Us. The body's trying to deal with the foods that we're eating mostly, not to mention the stress that we have and the way we live our lives. And so these are adaptive mechanisms. And instead of trying to figure out why is the body adapting or what's it adapting to and making corrections, we force the body into doing what we want it to do. And unfortunately, there's an ungodly amount of money to be made forcing the body to do what it doesn't want to do or what we want it to do.
Billions
and trillions. There's $4.5 trillion in healthcare costs every year. That's something like $18,000 for every man, woman, and child. Some ridiculous amount.
Pharmacist Ben, one quick thing before you go. Wyoming Annie, we will, email me. You got my email, I'm pretty sure. We will help your husband. I'm sorry we didn't get to your question, but we will. Pharmacist Ben is on Daily with Doc on Friday. Pharmacist Ben.
I want to just say one thing. Bass Southwest, I'm just reading her chat, or his chat. Great blood work. How do you know you have great blood work? Oh, well, the doctor told me I have great blood work. How does the doctor know? Well, he did a test. What did he test for? Or what did he test against? He tested against a reference range. Bass Southwest, do you know what a reference range is? Well, you don't, because nobody knows what a reference range is. A reference range is some statistical algorithm that's a mishmash of a bunch of information from a bunch of different people. So when people say, I have good blood work, I have great blood work, what they mean is the doctor told me my blood work is great based on reference ranges. Not that you have great blood work, but that the doctor told you your blood work was great or you saw it was great based on reference ranges. That's first of all. Second of all, she says healthy heart, but she's on, I think she said she was on losartan. Is this the lady that was on the losartan?
No, she's a thyroid. She's a thyroid.
Okay, healthy heart and not constipated. Well, considering the thyroid regulates the heart and the thyroid regulates the intestine, both things cannot be true. If your thyroid is less than effective, hypothyroid, you have to have intestinal problems. And you have to have cardiovascular problems, regardless of what the test scores say. Or maybe you're not hypothyroid. I don't know. Assuming that's true, if you're hypothyroid, that means all of your body is not operating to optimum efficiency. By definition, that's what it means, hypothyroid. So what's more likely is that your assessment or your doctor's assessment of a healthy heart and great blood work, blah, 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 is less than accurate, if indeed you're hypothyroid. Now, maybe you're not hypothyroid, I don't know. But if you're hypothyroid, that means hypometabolism.
Well, they mentioned she gave up sugar and
that's awesome. All that's awesome. But if you're hypothyroid, that's great. That's a good thing. But if you're hypothyroid, that's like saying I'm hypometabolism. Thyroid regulates metabolism. That means I'm hypo speed. That's like saying I'm really fast, but I'm hypo speed. Right? You see what I'm saying here? The thyroid regulates the chemistry in the body. So if the thyroid is suppressed, the chemistry has to be suppressed, or the thyroid's not suppressed. Okay?
She's gonna email us. Pharmacist Ben, I gotta show you something. This, what you see on the screen, is a chopped off finger.
Oh my God! Thank you so much for showing that to me.
That is what Sherry dealt with.
That's why I am going. That's why.
Wait! This is Sherry's finger. This is what happened to Sherry when her finger hit the garage door.
Nice to see you. Have a great day.
Bye,
everybody.
This is Sherry's finger now.
Yeah, well, I don't want to see any fingers.
Look, Pharmacist Ben, look at the finger now.
That's pretty cool. That is awesome.
Do you think that would have happened without nutrition?
There's no drug that would have done that. That's why I like being nutrition. Thank you, Sherry, for showing me that. I didn't need to see that first picture, though, AJ. But thank you. The last picture's cool. So, but that's cool, isn't that? There's no drugs that could have done that. That's why I like being a nutritional pharmacist, because we really help people. And anybody can be a nutritional pharmacist. There's no degree for nutritional pharmacy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Nope. There's only pharmacy.
I'm sure if I said I was a nutritional pharmacist, I'd have two hands behind my back.
No. You just can't say I'm a licensed pharmacist. You can't say, but I can say I'm a licensed pharmacist.
Pharmacist Ben, you know what you are, right?
What's that?
You're the man. Wait a minute, I forgot to say thank you to everybody. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thanks, team. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today on...
Bye, everybody.
What's the name of the show?
The Doctor's
Pharmacist Ben's Bites. I wanted to... Yeah.
Hey,
it's AJ.
Pharmacist Ben's on a call.
Yeah.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you, Ruth Ellen. Thank you, Sherry, for sharing. Pharmacist Ben, you're the Mac Daddy man. We'll see you on Friday. And tomorrow on Daily with Doc, we got Dr. Lisa Singletary dropping some other jewels for us. So make sure you tune in. And don't ever forget, folks, that you need to go to the right place in order to get yourself some help. You want to go to rootnotfruit.com. You don't want to know why?
That rotten apple on the branch, it ain't the real disease. The doctor's painting over it, ignoring what's beneath. It's in the soil of your gut, the sugar in the flow. You gotta fix the dirty root if you want the tree to grow. Don't fix the fruit, fix the root. Yeah, don't fix the fruit, fix the root.